G'day guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a review of a horror film from Canada, English language, released in the year 2005, directed by Paul Fox, and this film is called The Dark Hours. So the story of The Dark Hours, it starts off with a psychiatrist. She's very busy and very stressed at her work, and so she decides that she needs a break. So she's going to go to a cabin for the weekend with her husband and her younger sister. So they get there and there's a little bit of bickering between them. This psychiatrist is not feeling very well, and so the husband and the sister are starting to worry about her. So pretty soon things are going to get a whole lot worse, because one of the psychiatrist's patients in the asylum, he has been released, and he is not happy with the way that this psychiatrist treated him back then, so he's going to exact a little bit of revenge. So he ends up home invading this cabin, and he takes her hostage along with her husband and her sister, and this guy decides that he's going to play some psychological games because that is what he felt the psychiatrist did to him. So the movie goes down a very dark path as this psychotic person plays all these horrible games, and there's also a few hidden truths that are going to come to the surface as well. So what those truths are and whether or not they can get out of this or deal in one piece is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on The Dark Hours. I had no expectations with the film. In fact, I was expecting to really hate it, but what I ended up doing was loving the film. I thought this is a really, really well-made movie, and it's just a shame that no one really pays attention to it, because it has so many likeable qualities as far as a horror film is concerned. The fact that it's so psychological was what really drew me into it. This life of the psychiatrist, you sense that she's a good person, but when she starts to tackle her demons, it goes down a very different path to what you're expecting. And when the bad guy comes into the cabin, you don't necessarily know who the bad guy is, because the psychiatrist treated this guy so badly, but yet this guy is doing these awful things. So it is a war of wits and a war of psychological power, as this ex-patient who believed that he was being tortured by this psychiatrist with her psychological games, he has now turned the tables and he's doing it upon her. So it is very much a psychological battleground that takes place inside this cabin. It's a very remote cabin. It feels like nothing else exists outside, because all you see basically for 90% of the film is inside this little area. And you feel that they can't escape and that they're at the mercy of this guy. But then as the movie goes along, this guy who's deemed as the bad guy, you start to learn a little bit more about him, and everything changes. Nothing feels like it's predictable. I could predict certain things, but they weren't great. They weren't big elements to the movie, but there were little predictable qualities. But overall, the movie took a turn and I wasn't expecting it, and that's why I liked it as much as I did. There's a lot of ambiguity to the film, so right at the end you're going to be making your own conclusions up, and I watched this quite a few days ago, and I'm still thinking about it. It's still just running through my mind as to what was really going on, and that to me is what every good movie should strive to do, is to make you think. A lot of these movies, they're very forgettable, that after you finish watching it you don't really think about it, and therefore I feel that those forgettable movies aren't really that good. But when a movie has you thinking about it over and over again, it makes you want to go and watch it again. That to me is a great film. It's a movie that demands replay value, and it's not the forgettable experience that a lot of these films of this type are. So this is really a hidden gem. As I said, I had nothing about it. It was very cheap in a second-hand DVD store, and I just got so much more out of it than I was expecting. I thought the acting was great, especially from the psychiatrist. As I said, she has a lot to play with her character, and that's the same with every other character. The psychiatrist and the ex-patient, their chemistry between each other was really good, because you felt that this guy had a strong hatred for her, but yet she felt she was doing the right thing. So as I said, there's no real hero, there's no straight out villain. It's all a movie about these very realistic qualities to each person that makes them likeable and also unlikable at the same time. I thought the guy who played the psychotic individual was very, very menacing without trying too hard. It's a very subtle performance, but it was a very good performance. And then you've got the supporting cast who do an okay job, but it really does centre upon the psychiatrist and her ex-patient. So I thought the acting was great. Thought the cinematography was excellent. As I said, it's a very uncomfortable film. Some of the mind games that this psycho plays on them was just really uncomfortable, make me feel very, very awkward. And there were some moments in the film that I thought, yeah, that really hit me hard. And they don't show too much, but they show just enough for you to get that impact. So it's definitely a psychological film with a few graphic elements put into it for good measure. It is a movie that you're going to draw your own conclusion with. I thought the continuity of the film was great. point. It starts off as a basic sort of film, and you get the feeling that it's just going to be a run-of-the-mill type of movie. But then as it goes down a more surreal path, I thought it had a nightmarish quality, and it also had a very unpredictable quality. You didn't know exactly where it was going. As I said, there were certain moments that you kind of thought was going to happen, and it did. But overall, the overall story, I thought, snowballs into something that is very rewarding after its climax. And as I said, it's a movie that will really make you think. So, as I said, a very good film. I was expecting nothing, and I got so much more out of it. So overall, for The Dark Hours, I'm going to give it 4 stars. It comes hugely recommended. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.